Oh, let me tell you a story. A story about Molly. Who is Molly, you ask? Molly. Molly is the greatest dog that ever lived. A golden retriever with a heart as golden as her fur. She wasn't just a pet. She was my best friend, my confidant, my everything. From the moment I brought her home, she filled my life with boundless joy. Her eyes sparkled with mischief. Her tail wagged like a little metronome. And her laughter, oh yes, dogs can laugh, was the sweetest sound in the world. Every morning, she'd greet me with a smile and a lick, ready to take on the world together. When Molly was young, she did the craziest things. One time, she managed to get into the fridge and pulled out a huge roasted turkey I had cooked for a Thanksgiving dinner. I had invited a bunch of people to dinner and everyone surprisingly turned up, but there was no turkey. When I found her, she was sitting in the middle of the kitchen, surrounded by remnants of turkey, with a big chunk still hanging from her mouth. Her face was a mix of guilt and triumph. We both just stood there, me trying to hold back my laughter, and her wagging her tail furiously, proud of her conquest. I always wanted to spend more time with Molly. I tried many times, but something always came up at work. There were always deadlines, meetings, and emergencies that pulled me away. But Molly never complained. She was always there, her love unwavering. I bought her expensive toys, branded toys, every toy I could find on social media. But I soon realized she didn't care about how expensive they were. She couldn't tell the difference between a $5 toy and a $500 toy. For her, all that mattered was my company. She would rather play fetch with an old tennis ball than a shiny new gadget. And you know it's the same for humans too. We often chase after expensive things, thinking they will bring us happiness. But it's the simple moments of love and connection that truly matter. Sadly, by the time I realized this, it was too late. Like most humans, I was also addicted to social media. Molly always sat next to me while I scrolled endlessly through my phone. After a long, tiring day at work, I would come home, play with Molly for a bit, and then sink into the couch, glued to my phone. I would scroll and scroll, losing track of time, while Molly sat patiently beside me, her eyes filled with hope for some attention. Every time I slightly glanced at her, she would wag her tail, ready to cuddle. But often I ignored her, engrossed in the virtual world, missing out on the warmth and joy right beside me. This routine continued, and I could see the disappointment in Molly's eyes. She never complained or showed her sadness, always ready to give love and affection whenever I decided to put down my phone. Those were the moments I cherished the most. Her unconditional love and patience, a stark contrast to the fleeting and shallow content on my screen. I really took things for granted. Years passed, and I watched as Molly's youthful energy began to fade. Her golden fur turned gray, and her steps slowed, but her spirit remained the same. She was still my Molly, always there, always loving, even as I continued to let the demands of life steal precious time away from us. One evening, I came home later than usual. Molly was lying by the door, her tail thumping weakly against the floor. She struggled to stand, her legs trembling. I rushed to her side, and she looked up at me with those familiar, loving eyes. In that moment, I realized how much time I had wasted, how many precious moments I had lost. The next few days were a blur of vet visits and sleepless nights. Molly was diagnosed with a severe illness, one that couldn't be cured. The vet gave her only a few weeks to live. I was devastated. I tried to make those last days special, to make up for all the time we had lost. We took walks in the park, ate her favorite treats, and I stayed by her side every moment I could. But life has a cruel way of reminding us that time is relentless. Molly's condition worsened, and she grew weaker with each passing day. One night, as I held her close, I whispered through my tears, "I'm sorry, Molly. I'm so sorry." Her eyes, still filled with love and trust, seemed to say, "I love you." Molly took her last breath in my arms, her body finally at rest. The house felt unbearably empty without her. I was consumed by guilt and regret. The realization that I had let the most important part of my life slip away while chasing after meaningless things was a heavy burden to bear. For me, Molly was my best friend for 7 years of my life, but for Molly, I was her best friend for her entire life. That thought, more than anything, broke my heart. But in that deep, painful emptiness, I began to see the truth. The real meaning of life isn't in the material things we accumulate, but in the love we share, the moments we cherish with those we care about. Molly had taught me that, even in her last moments. Now, in this heavenly place, Molly and I are together again. No more regrets, no more missed moments, just eternal happiness and the joy of each other's company. Here, I hold her close, and I never let go. Every day is filled with the love and laughter that we missed on earth. So, who is Molly? Molly is my reminder that love is the most precious thing we have. Cherish it, nurture it, and never let the pursuit of success take away from the beauty of the present. Remember, life is fleeting. Hold on to the ones you love and never let go.